Lee, you want to do the invocation?
I'll be happy to.
Okay.
There we go.
You got it. We'll wait just a second to get enough space, please.
Appreciate everybody joining us this evening for our council meeting for the month of May. We had a hiatus in our meetings due to our COVID-19 pandemic, and now we're trying to carry on regular business. And as such, we will get our meeting started with invocation by Lee Cole. Lee, if you lead us in our invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, thank you for this town that we all love. Thank you for the leaders that you have brought here this evening. Lord, please give them wisdom and strength to lead our community during this difficult time. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. You join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will have somewhat of an abbreviated meeting this meeting. We will not have committee reports or updates like that. We're going to just carry on with the business of the town. So we'll move on to new business. And our first item of business will be approval of our minutes from our last meeting of March 2nd and March 13th. We have a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Have a motion by Councilman Burgess. Do we have a second to approve those minutes?
Second.
Second by Councilman Harvell. All in favor? The minutes are accepted. First item of business is a resolution approving ACTC funding for paving. Resolution entitled, a resolution requesting funding from the Anderson County Transportation Committee for paving of roads. This will be our next round of paving. It will include Malden Street, Anderson Street, and Bigby Street. Do we have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
So moved by Councilman Haygood. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on this resolution? This is just for council to commit to the 10% match on these projects as we usually do. We'll call the question. All in favor? None opposed. Thank you, gentlemen. Next item of business is sewer project funding approval for $45,875. This is a connection between the Belton Drive sewer project and our existing sewer line improvements that terminate at a manhole at Circle Drive. This will be a pipe bursting project about 200 feet, and it was excluded from our grant application after this project was in the design phase. And so we're asking for an additional $45,875 for the connection of our current trunk line improvements out into the improvements that we're making as the Belton Drive sewer project. This would come out of regular reserves. Do we have a motion to approve these funds?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilman Alexander. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Councilman Harvell. Any discussion on this? Here none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And we're so approved. We will have first reading on our election ordinance. We have an election coming up in this year in fall of 2020, and This is an ordinance, and this again will be first reading of this ordinance, requires two readings for approval. It's entitled an ordinance authorizing and regulating the 2020 general election. Do we need that ordinance read, Lee?
It can be read by title only.
Okay, the title is, as I stated, an ordinance authorizing and regulating the 2020 general election. Do we have a motion to pass this ordinance on first reading?
So moved.
So moved by Councilman Burgess. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Councilman Harvell. Do you have any discussion on our ordinance for the election?
Mayor, I'd like to make an amendment, a motion for an amendment for Section 6, that all the text be deleted with the exception of the first two sentences, which would effectively remove the requirement of collecting signatures on a petition.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to remove all but the first two lines of Section 6. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on that amendment. Do we have discussion?
Is there, okay, I see it, never mind. I think particularly in light of the COVID-19, going around getting signatures is probably not a good idea.
Although these signatures are not, I mean, at this time, I would agree that I would not solicit signatures during this time, but certainly we hope by August, when the signatures are due, that that we will be out and carrying on regular activities. And so that's the extent of your amendment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I will say in discussion of this that I think this is an important vetting process for candidates that are serious about serving in this capacity. It does take an amount of time to solicit signatures. That's a valuable experience, I think, to engage the community directly like this. I think it also, like I said, is a valuable vetting process. And certainly if we don't have time to go out and meet the community and gather signatures for qualification as a candidate for office of town of Williamston in whatever capacity, it'd be my opinion that you really don't have time to serve in that capacity as well. So would caution council to make sure that we try to continue to have integrity in our leadership, and that we do continue to have folks offering themselves for service that have both the time and intention to give that service in full capacity to our citizens. So that's discussion on my part.
I have one question. With the extraction of this verbiage from Section 6, now will that affect the candidates running as far as their name appearing on the ballot?
No, because that's what I think the first two sentences cover. They have to register with the Municipal Election Commission at the Town of Williamston's Municipal Center.
Okay.
And they have to pay their filing.
And then in addition to that, if in Section 4, there's the requirement, there's the fee requirement that's still in place.
Okay.
This, of course, does lower the threshold for participation in the election, and I'm certainly not against anyone participating in the election process that has a willingness to serve and the time to give that service to our town. I do think it sets a stage for runoffs in our elections, and that if we have multiple candidates and we still require a 50% majority for a selection in that office, that we are probably setting the stage for almost an automatic runoff election 2 weeks following. One of the strongest arguments, I think, for holding our elections in the current four-year rotation is that we get a majority of the electorate out to participate in the election. And in special elections and off-cycle elections and runoff elections at the municipal level, it is more difficult to get a good participation, good cross-section of our community. And I think if it is our desire to truly hear the political will of our community, that we should try to avoid situations that would cause a runoff or a likely runoff. And if we have these elections and that it's just a fee to register, and that's the only other qualification I see in the ordinance is just a registration fee, is that correct?
That is correct, and then by state law, you would have to, there is a qualification that you have to be a resident of the ward, for a council, resident of the ward, for mayor, resident of the town, as of the date of the election.
All right, do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And all opposed? And I'll vote in opposition. That carries on first reading.
Mayor, I apologize, but just to make sure that the record is correct on that, I believe that would have been voting on the amendment, and then a vote on the ordinance as amended would be required.
We will vote, make a motion to vote on the amendment as amended. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Burgess. Any discussion on the amendment as amended? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And I'll vote in opposition. Thank you. All right. Our next item of business. If I can find it. Let me see. Next item of business will be the first reading on the 2021 budget ordinance. All members of council have received copies of this. Do we have a motion to pass our budget on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Councilman Burgess, a second by Councilman Alexander. Do we have any discussion on the budget on first reading? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And none opposed. All right. We will have our next item is an emergency ordinance, and this is an ordinance that we did pass at our March 13th meeting to suspend the collection of the hospitality tax. This ordinance would extend that until the end of May. Do we have a motion to extend this current emergency ordinance to suspend the collection of hospitality tax until the end of May?
So moved.
Well, okay.
Got a motion and a second.
We have a motion by Councilman Haygood. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Burgess. Okay, do you have any discussion on that?
Yes, I just want to say briefly, I had the opportunity to speak with most of the restaurants here in town, and they do express their sincere appreciation for these efforts.
I'll also add that I've had at least one restaurateur call me and say they extremely appreciated the gesture, and my comment was, you know, it's a small gesture, it's the least we could do. And he said that, you don't understand, he said that gesture paid the salary of my server for a day. You know, every day, so that's paying the salary of the server, that 2%. So that's really helpful.
It's good to hear good community comments and good, having good impact on our actions. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? None opposed. Also have a next item of business, which is a proclamation proclaiming May 16th, 2020 as Kids to Park Day. This is a proclamation. We do not know if we'll have the park actually open on May the 16th, but this is a proclamation honoring Kids to Parks Day in the city of Williamston. And we'd like to have that proclamation approved by council. And it reads, proclaiming May 16, 2020 as Kids to Parks Day in the city of Williamston, whereas May 16, 2020 is the 10th Kids to Parks Day organized and launched by the National Park Trust, held annually on the third Saturday of May, and whereas Kids to Parks Day empowers kids and encourages families to get outdoors and visit America's parks, public lands, and waters, and whereas we should encourage children to lead more active lifestyle to combat issues of childhood obesity, diabetes, hypertension, hypercholesterolemia, and other diseases, whereas Kids to Parks Day will broaden children's appreciation for nature and outdoors. Now, therefore, Mac Durham and Council do hereby proclaim May 16, 2020 as Kids to Parks Day. Do we have a vote on that?
So moved.
Motion?
So moved.
Second? Second by Councilman Harville. All in favor? Kids to Parks Day is approved.
Mayor, for clarification, are you saying that there's a possibility the park could be open by May 16th? Because the last I saw was closed to the 31st.
I am saying there is no possibility until we take action to open the park. So that is totally, I mean, we are under restrictions today as we have been, and there's no set date to change those restrictions until we see orders from the governor that would allow us to make a decision on that. Okay. Item 7, our first reading on ordinance to purchase real property on Mineral Spring Lane. This is first reading again on ordinance authorizing purchase of real property on Mineral Park Lane. This is a piece of property, and I'll just read this. Whereas Town of Williamston desires to purchase real property on Mineral Park Lane, Williamston, South Carolina 29697, bearing Anderson County TMS number 24509011016. And where the town believes purchasing said real property be in the public interest of the citizens of Williamston, serve public purposes. Now be it ordained by Town of Council and Town of Williamston that the Town Council hereby authorizes mayor to enter into a contract with the owner of record of the above referenced property, KJZ 319 Living Trust, to purchase said property for $8,500 and allocates said amount for the purchase of the same. Number 2, that the Town Council further authorizes the mayor to execute any documents necessary to complete the purchase of this property with the terms and conditions stated above. Number 3, that the 2019-2020 budget of the Town of Williamston hereby is amended to reflect the terms of this ordinance. Do we have a motion to pass this on first reading?
So moved.
So moved by Councilman Alexander. Do we have a second? Second by Councilman Harville. So, do we have any discussion on this? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? None opposed. Thank you. And that will conclude our business for the evening. Do we have any comments by council?
Good to see everybody.
Good to see everybody, and I will ditto that comment. And also, I'd like just to have a couple of thank yous. We've had a tremendous amount of support from the Anderson County Emergency Operations Center, David Baker and his team. I just want to say publicly how much we appreciate the county's support during this time, and we do look forward to restaurant opening soon. We'll have restaurants opening for curbside and now outside dining. And according to the governor's orders, we should, within the next couple of weeks, see some inside dining opening up. So we hope that things are going to continue to move forward and we'll get back to more of a normal that we're used to. There's definitely a new normal now, and there will be some changes and effects of this, I'm sure, but we do want to try to get our community back to as near normal as possible as soon as possible. So that would include consideration of park openings and public space openings and rentals of public facilities and use of public facilities. So as a town, I just want to encourage everyone, let them know that we want that to get back to normal as quickly as anyone, and so we want everybody to stay safe in the meantime, and hopefully everybody will have a nice weekend and a happy Cinco de Mayo. So with that, we'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second that motion.
Second that motion, all in favor? And we stand adjourned. Thank you for spending some time with us this evening.